everyone, welcome to JS Gigs and my name is Deepak. Here in this tutorial we are going to be talking about building a sidebar and a navigation bar. And a sidebar and a navigation bar is particularly taken from this particular place, which is startbootstrap.com, and this particular template is available for free. And you can also look at this GitHub contribution, and it comes with an MIT license. It has roughly about 3.3 thousand stars, and I'm going to be making use of this particular template to make a dashboard that we had been advertising all that while. So this is the dashboard we are going to be building precisely in the end. But for now, I'm going to be focusing on this part, which is essentially the navigation bar right at the top. It has three different options. If you look at here, the user icon, and if you click on it, it gets three options here. And then you have this button over here, which basically opens and closes the side navigation bar. And if you click on the dashboard, it lands here, and then there are multiple other options and multiple other features available in it. But for now, we are only going to be focusing on the navigation bar and the sidebar. In order to do this, I've already downloaded this particular code available on the GitHub, and I'm going to be making use of it. So without further ado, I'll quickly take you to the code, and let's get this rolling. So here in the code, you may see that the template which I have downloaded has got a few files. So in order to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be copying those files over here, and also going to be making the app, the about, and the header and the other components disappear, right? So I'm just going to be keeping only the app because I don't think so we need this. So let me just quickly delete all of these. I don't think so I would need this file either. So let me just remove this as well. I think I can remove everything from here. And let me write down I don't think so I need that either. Let me remove these. And also I'm also going to be removing all of these except the title. I don't think so I need any of this either. So let's move this. I don't think so I need this as well, right? And I've made this changes here in the app component and the app component TS HTML and the app component as CSS file as well. So config file, I'm going to be keeping it as is, and here I don't think so I need that either. So let me just quickly remove all of it. Me comment this out. I don't think so I'm importing it anywhere. So I think we are good until this point. Let's just see if or rather let me display this particular title property at the template level as well. So I'm going to be putting it like this, right? So let me take you to let me start this particular application. All right, so in a moment this 4200 localhost would be up. And now let me take you to the Chrome browser, and here at the Chrome browser I'm going to be opening localhost 4200 in order to show where we exactly are. So there you go. So let me also open the inspect element, the developer tools precisely. So this is how it is. So now let me take you back to the code and start creating the sidebar and the navigation bar. Please understand that sidebar and navigation bar, I'm going to be making two different components essentially, right? And then sidebar would appear on the left hand side, and we will also do some of the styling on top of all these templates related code which is available from the GitHub itself. So now let me quickly go here. I'm going to be getting inside here. All right, so the command in order to generate these component is, please follow along, ng g component, and I'm going to be making the sidebar first, and immediately after that I'm going to be making the navigation bar, so I'll name it navbar. Right, so now if you come here in the app, you can see that there are two different components available already, the navbar and the sidebar, and both of these would essentially appear here in the component. Right, so what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just do the import here, sidebar component, navbar component, right? And also here at the template, I don't think so I need any of these, so I'm just going to be removing all of it and going to be putting let me see what is the name of the component. So it says dashboard engine 19. So let me put these here, and please note that the initials in the selector hasn't really appeared as app. It's precisely because of the reason that we have defined the app name as dashboard-engine 19. That's the reason instead of app, this is what it appears, and I believe that you are aware that where exactly we need to define this. If you're not, please do write it in the comment section below, or you can refer to the old tutorials of mine. You'll be able to see that, you know, how to define all of this. Right, so now let me quickly go to the next point. The sidebar is here, and now I'm going to be importing the navbar. Right after this, I need router outlet. And in order to have this router outlet over here, I'm going to be putting this right here. And now I think we are pretty much sorted here. Now the next point is, I'm just going to be seeing in the Chrome browser if there is any error in the console, and apparently there is none, and everything is loading. Now you can see that the navbar and sidebar appears like this over here, right? And if you look at the component, you see that the navbar and the sidebar appears right like this, right? So it has this particular thing over in the top, and here in the left hand panel you can see that this thing also appears. In order to do this, let me just bring the sidebar first. So I'll take you quickly to the code, and here is the sidebar. Please note that as I've been using the GitHub code or the open source MIT license code in order to create this particular dashboard, you are most welcome to copy the content as is from the dashboard or from the GitHub. In case if you want to follow along, I already have it copied with me. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just quickly take that particular piece of code from their GitHub code, and I'll quickly go here. Instead of sidebar works, I'm going to be making it like this. So I'll quickly give you an overview. So it has some of these classes available. So div navigation is for the navigation bar on the top, and under the navigation it's going to be having all these options, right? So there are two divs inside it. So one is the footer div, and the other one is the div which appears in the center. So let me open this first, and then here in the nav you can see that it has multiple different options. So what are those options? You can come over here, 1, 2, 3, right, and 4. So let's say if you have multiple options available within, or if you want to give the nested options over here, so you can define it like this. We're going to be changing this code pretty much every line of it as and when we reach to those part of the tutorial, but just for now you're going to be copying it as is, right? So let me just quickly save this and take you to the Chrome. With the Chrome, let me also open this. Now you can see that it appears like that. Let me also change it for the navbar in the top. All right, so now let me take you back to the code, and here the code. I'm going to be now writing code for the navigation bar on the top. So let me open the Navbar component over here. Let me delete everything from here, and here in the nav bar component, I'm going to be making a nav first. Inside that nav, I'm going to be having an anchor tag. Please note that it's, for now, it's just going to be the empty anchor tag, but as in when we move forward in this application, I'll link it with the dashboard page. And for now, I'm not really linking it. Let me write down the button, and this button is going to be having the class of this button is basically a toggle button to open and close the sidebar. So in order to have this, I'm just going to be putting it like this. I'm also going to be making an icon which is FA bars, right, which is 3 parallel bar on the top. And now I'm going to be putting a form inside it. And this form will have a div, and inside that div I'm going to be having an input and a button. And after the form, I'm going to be putting a UL, unordered list precisely. So this unordered list is for displaying 3 different options. So those options will be defined again in an li. So let me just write down the li as well over here. List item essentially. This will have an anchor tag. And after that, I'm also going to be having an unordered list. Inside the unordered list, I'm going to be having 4 different options, which is settings, activity, and a divider, and post the divider, a logout option. So let me just write it down, all of this. Right, and now I'm also going to be putting the classes. So please note, I'm not really opening, or I'm not really going to explain all of these class in detail. And if you want to know more, you're most welcome to come down to this particular repository and check it yourself. And this button is going to be having multiple classes, so let me just put those classes as well over here. And all of these are essentially Bootstrap classes, ladies and gentlemen. So these Bootstrap classes are something you can very well go and open the documentation yourself and look at it. If you have any doubt, please do write down in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to explain them in detail later on, but for now I'm just gonna be putting it as is. And in case of an unordered list, I'm just going to be putting this class over here. This li item is going to be having a nav item, which is also a drop down. So let me put a class like this over here, which says that it's a nav item and also a drop down. And this anchor class is going to be having some toggle. So let me write it down this as well. And let me define the ID also for this particular thing. I don't think so. I would need an href for now. So let me remove this. And all of these are going to be the drop down item, right? So drop down item is already available over here, right? Drop down divider is also available over here. All right, so we are pretty much done with the navigation bar and as well as the sidebar. But there is another important thing that we have not really covered so far, which is how to set up Bootstrap 5 for Angular, right? So first of all, I'll also show you that how it essentially looks as of now. So let me quickly take you to the Chrome browser, and this is how the page exactly looks like for now. It's because we have not really taken any Bootstrap classes into consideration. So let me just open here and take you to the GitHub documentation for this particular tutorial, and then I'll come here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly copy all of these files to our code base. So this is how it's going to be looking at, and all of these files I'm going to be copying now, right? So in order to do this, right, so this is the generated file dist essentially, and then here in the CSS you can see that the style.css is available, which has all of these. You would also see that we have the JavaScript also available, though it's very minimal, and we're not going to be making use of this particular JavaScript. However, we are essentially going to be making use of the assets and the CSS file. Let me quickly copy these CSS files as well, right? So before that, I'm going to be opening up and showing you how the index.html looks like. If you look at this index.html, you will notice that it has multiple of these links available. So let me copy all of these. I think I would need it, and let me take you to the code. And here is the code. What I'm going to do is here in the index.html, I'm going to be putting all of these kits here. I'll again take you back to the Chrome, and here at the Chrome you can see that these are some of the script tags also given at the bottom. Copy these as well. I think I can define them here. All right. So let me take you to the code again, and here is the code. You may notice that it refers to all these JS script file and then the CSS file. So let me just change these a little bit because it's not essentially here. So let me do this here for the CSS. Similarly, I would do that for the JavaScript file, although we are not going to be making use of it, and I'll probably remove that in the future, but I'm just keeping it for the reference purpose for now, right? And then similarly over here, if you come down here, right, so we don't need really the assets, so I'm just going to be removing them and putting a double dot over here like this. And here at the JS data table, I'm also going to be putting it like this, right? So I'll show you how the data tables are actually used here in the Angular, but then it is just for importing, and then we don't really want to mess up with the original code, and that's why I've just copied it all these files as is, right? So now I'll take you, and now the final thing is I'm going to be putting all these assets here in the public folder, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly copy these files and putting them here. Right, I've saved everything. Let me close down everything. Right, and now I'll take you to the Chrome, and here is the Chrome. Right, it does not really work for now, but then at least it does not really have any error on the page. So we have successfully set up the Bootstrap for this particular application. We have also created the top bar and the sidebar. Now we are going to be doing the styling for this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly take you back to the code, and here is the code. I'm going to be making and rather opening the app component, right? Here in the app component, you may notice that at the top we have defined a navbar, and later on we have defined the sidebar, right? So the top navbar and a sidebar, they work in tandem, right? So they need to talk to one another. Why do they need to talk to one another is also because it has the navbar in the top has a button. That particular button is something which will send notification to the sidebar to open and close, right? So as you can see in the original dashboard itself, that navbar, the hamburger icon over the top, that button at the top controls the sidebar navigation, right? So how do we do that? So now I'm going to be opening this particular navbar and here by here, right? And please understand that I'm going to be explaining another component over here, right? So if you look closely, this is a particular button that we're going to be making use of, right, in order to open and close. So, and when do we want it to happen? Whenever user clicks on it. On button click. Let me define this here. In order to communicate with the parent component, I'm going to be making use of output. And this output is going to be sidebar toggle. So let me define it. This is going to be an event emitter of type boolean. Let me import this here quickly, right? And whenever a button is clicked, what I really want is to basically notify the parent component to open or close the sidebar. I also need one particular property, which is sidebar, and this is going to be of type boolean, which is also going to be a local property for this particular component. I'll assign it to false initially. And what I would do is, like, I do not really know from this component if the sidebar is open or not, but I really want, whenever this particular button is clicked, the previous action has to be overridden to the newer value, which is going to be the reverse of what it was earlier. So essentially I need to toggle between true and false. So how do I do that? It's fairly simple. So now I'm going to be doing is writing this particular code just to, so let me do it this way. This dot I think there is a spelling mistake, so let me correct this. Toggle. All right, so now we have written the code in the nav component, and it is also essentially going to be an event emitter, and this particular event will be sent to the parent component to read it, and once the parent component reads it, it needs to open or close the sidebar. So now let me quickly take you to the app component, and this app component is going to be having, let me also open the HTML file. This is where we are going to be writing the particular code. Sidebar toggle. Let me also write it down here. Is sidebar open, and then this particular thing will be placed here, this dot. Right, so whatever it has a value initially, I'm just going to be reversing it from the value which I receive, which I will essentially receive from the app component, right, which is basically here on sidebar toggle. So we're good here. Now we already have this particular variable available. Now what I'm going to do is, like, I'm just going to be putting this here at the sidebar, and we'll try to control the behavior of a sidebar, right? In order to do this, what I'm going to do is, like, I don't think so I need to open this, rather I'll open this particular thing over here, right? Let me put it like this, and let me do that with the help of a class, right? So now I'm going to be explaining how you can actually make such things work in your component, right? So in order to do this, what I'm going to do is, like, I'll first of all design this CSS, right? So in order to do this, let me also open the SCSS file over here, and here at the SCSS file I'm going to be defining a few classes, right? So let's me define top bar. Inside this, I'm also going to be having, please understand that I'm basically writing this in the BAM model, right? So if you don't understand BAM model, I would still suggest you to go and read about it yourself. And if not, please do write it in the comment section below, and I'll explain how I'm really working in the SCSS file. So let me put this here. I'm going to be making it fixed, and let me write down some transition properties as well, and also understand that we are going to be displaying this 46 pixel below because the navigation bar has a 56 pixel worth of height, right? And after that, I'm going to be putting the code for the open class. So let's say if it has the open class, I'm going to be making it a transform, right? So let me write it down like this, right? And now what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just put the exact things in the app component. So this particular class is a top bar class, the class which I've defined in the previous CSS file. I'm just going to be putting it right this, right? And now also understand that because I want to really bind a particular value, which is sidebar open, that I've defined here with this particular component. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'm just going to be defining that particular class here. So it is done like this. So you need to define the property class dot open, and this class would be applied only when the sidebar open is true. Otherwise this particular class will not be applied, right? I think we are clear here, right? So now let me quickly take you to the Chrome browser and let's just check that. There you go. So now you can see that it essentially works like that, and you can see that the sidebar opens and closes like this, right? So this is all, ladies and gentlemen, for this particular tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'm going to be talking about more advanced aspect of this particular dashboard, and I'm also going to be fixing some of these errors over here. As you can see that this logout is being written here. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. And all that while, I'm going to be seeing you in the next tutorial where we will cover more advanced topic, and we will also cover and see how to create dashboard and other things, right? So stay tuned, and if you have not really subscribed to my channel, please do so, because it's really going to be interesting going forward. So thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be seeing you in the next one. Thank you.